Alberto Rodríguez is a Mexican professional wrestler, best known for his time with WWE under the ring name Alberto Del Rio. He is a five-time world champion, having held the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship once, WWE Championship twice, and the World Heavyweight Championship twice. He won the 2011 Royal Rumble, and a WWE Championship contract in a 2011 Money in the Bank ladder match. Before working for WWE, Rodríguez used the name Dos Caras, Jr. as both a mixed martial artist and luchador in mostly Mexico and Japan. He worked in both of Mexico's main wrestling promotions and achieved success in Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre. The name Dos Caras translates to two faces, referring to the symbol of a double-headed eagle on his mask. After being fired from WWE in August 2014, Rodríguez returned to Mexico to work for Asistencia a la Asesora y Administración Cubden under the new ring name El Patra Cubden. Amateur wrestling, born in San Luis Potosi as the son of luchador Dos Caras. Rodríguez graduated from Universidad Autónoma Norma de San Luis Potosi where he earned a degree in architecture. Growing up in a family of wrestlers, Rodríguez decided to take up Greco-Roman wrestling, training under Lenel Kolesny and Juan Fernandez. He earned a place on the Mexican national team in Greco-Roman wrestling and while competing on the national team obtained several accomplishments. In 1997, he placed third at the World Junior Championships, in the Czech Republic. He also won the Central American and Caribbean Games in his weight division 3 times and won a medal at the Pan American Games. Rodríguez was on track to compete at the 2000 Summer Olympics in Sydney, Australia, but due to a lack of funding and support, Mexico did not send a wrestling team that year. Professional wrestling career, Asistencia a la Asesora y Administración Cubden. After not competing at the 2000 Olympic Games, Rodríguez turned to the family business, and trained with his father to become a professional wrestler. Caras made his debut appearance on May 9, 2000 as he ran in during an Asistencia a la Asesora y Administración Cubden show to save his father from a beatdown from El Texano, Pirata Morgan. Over the next couple of years, Caras worked both in Mexico and Japan to gain experience in the ring. In Mexico he worked exclusively for AAA, making appearances at shows such as the 2002 Verano de Escándalo, where he teamed with Grunda and El Hijo del Solitario to defeat the trio of Pirata Morgan, Sangre Chicana and El Brazo. Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, tar copyright Knico. In 2005, Rodríguez was signed to a contract with Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, promotion that Rodríguez considers his house. In his first test in the company, Caras competed in the 2005 La Copa Junior, but the storyline of the tournament saw him defeated in the semi-final by Dr. Wagner. Junior Caras' advancement to the semi-final of the Cup, mere months after signing with the company, was an indicator that the bookers were interested in elevating him up the rankings. This was further supported when he received matches for both the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship and the CMLL World Light Heavyweight Championship inside a 3-week period. The following year on March 31, 2006, Caras was entered again into the La Copa Junior tournament and earned a return victory over Dr. Wagner, Jr. who knocked him out of the tournament the previous year. He also won against Heavy Metal and Apollo Dante Copyright S to gain a place in the final, defeating Ha Copyright Ktagatsu to win the prize. While working in Japan, Caras had taken to teaming with another second-generation wrestler, Lizmark, Jr., and when both found themselves in CMLL they were teamed up once again, with the team's famous fathers being the selling point. Over the next year Caras found himself without much direction. He worked storylines with Ashitimo Guerrero and Kenzo Suzuki but nothing long-term came of it. Caras received 2 opportunities to challenge Universo 2000 for the CMLL World Heavyweight title but came up short until his 3rd attempt on July 8, 2007 when he became the CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. While in wrestling promotions outside of Mexico the heavyweight title would indicate that he was the top man in the federation, Mexican wrestling promotions tend to put more emphasis on the lower weight divisions over the heavyweights. Caras' run with the CMLL World Heavyweight Championship remained largely uneventful with only 4 title defenses in the 533 days that he held the championship. After defending against Lismark, Jr. and former champion, Universo 2000, it was 9 months before his next defense. By the fall of 2008 a story broke that Rodríguez had wrestled a dark match for WWE and that they had offered him a contract. Over the following months conflicting reports of whether he had signed or not arose, but he remained CMLL World Heavyweight Champion. When Caras lost the title to Ultimo Guerrero, it was believed that he had indeed signed with WWE, with him being rumored to be a surprise participant in the 2009 Royal Rumble. However, Rodríguez remained with CMLL and stated that he signed a 4-year deal and chose CMLL because they offered him a better deal than WWE. Rudo. Throughout his entire career, Dos Caras, Jr. had always played a heroic character, known in Mexico as a tar copyright Knico. However, after the contract dealings with WWE surfaced, he began showing signs of becoming a villain, known as a Rudo. He would turn his attention away from the matches and instead try to win the approval of the fans, often costing his team the match because he was distracted. Caras himself explained this behavior by stating that he hurt his shoulder, but bravely stayed in the arena. After hinting at a change for weeks, Caras finally cemented his villainous persona on April 11, 2009, the first member of the Rodríguez family to be a heel. After becoming a Rudo, he began working a storyline with Shocker. World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, Florida Championship Wrestling, on June 17, 2010. Rodríguez confirmed that he had signed a 3-year contract with WWE, stating that he would not have to go to Florida Championship Wrestling, WWE's developmental territory, but directly to the main roster. Furthermore, he would retain the rights to his name, mask and image, but allow the WWE to use it for promotional purposes while he is under contract with them. He agreed to the contract since it addressed the main reasons why he turned down the WWE's offer in January 2009. Despite his claims, he had a match with Chris Logan at FCW Wrestling under the name DOS. He later also went on to wrestle under the ring names Dorado and El Dorado. During a segment on the Abraham Washington show at the August 6 taping, Rodríguez revealed a new, unmasked wrestling character named Alberto Banderas. When he revealed his face, he had a lot of criticism from Mexican people because he revealed his identity. However, Del Rio said that only a few people know why he lost the mask in that way. During Raw's WrestleMania Revenge Tour of Europe in April 2010, Caras made numerous appearances in untelevised matches for the Raw brand. One night he wrestled as Dos Caras, but he did not wear his mask. He was presented as a villain in a losing effort against Christian. The following month Caras put his mask back on for WWE's Tour of Mexico and worked as a hometown hero, prior to returning unmasked during untelevised matches for subsequent Raw and SmackDown shows. Later, Rodríguez said that he hated his time in FCW but that he learned a lot. Main roster debut and WWE Champion. On the June 25, 2010, episode of SmackDown, Rodríguez debuted on a pre-taped promotional video as the unmasked Alberto Del Rio. Thereafter, a vignette aired every week on SmackDown promoting his character as an arrogant rich Mexican aristocrat, espousing his own virtues of honesty, integrity and mental faculties. After 2 months, Del Rio debuted at a house show in Brisbane, Australia, and a week later he made his official television debut on the August 20 SmackDown by defeating fellow luchador Rey Mysterio in the main event using his new cross-arm breaker submission. As part of his act, Del Rio made his entrances in an expensive car, while he was introduced by his personal ring announcer, Ricardo Rodríguez. The following week, Del Rio continued the storyline with Mysterio by attacking him after his match with Kane, giving him a storyline injury by refusing to relinquish his armor. 2 weeks later he defeated Matt Hardy via submission in Hardy's last appearance with the company, causing Hardy's friend Christian to challenge Del Rio to a match at Night of Champions. Although he declined the match, on the September 24 SmackDown Del Rio attacked Christian and injured him the same way he did Mysterio the previous month, marking the third successive wrestler Del Rio was scripted to injure. This was done to write Christian off television, as he had suffered a torn pectoral muscle. Mysterio returned on the October 8 SmackDown episode and handed Del Rio his first defeat in the main event match. In October, Del Rio defeated Chris Masters to represent the SmackDown-branded bragging rights, but during the pay-per-view event he attacked teammate Rey Mysterio, before being eliminated from the match by Team Raw's CM Punk. At Survivor Series, in the traditional 5-on-5 elimination match, Del Rio captained a team against Rey Mysterio's team. Although Del Rio's team lost, he was never technically eliminated. Instead, the Big Show knocked him out with a punch and he was removed from the match. On the November 26 SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Big Show via countout to qualify for the 2010 King of the Ring tournament. In the tournament the next week on Raw, he made WWE United States Champion Daniel Bryan submit in the first round, but was defeated by John Morrison in the semi-final after being distracted by Mysterio, who was inside his car. On the November 30 WWE NXT, it was announced that Del Rio would mentor Conor O'Brien on the fourth season of NXT, starting the following week. On December 19 at TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, Del Rio competed in a fatal four-way tables, ladders, and chairs match for the World Heavyweight Championship, which was won by Edge and also included the then-champion Kane and Rey Mysterio. On the January 7, 2011 SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Mysterio in a 2-out-of-3 falls match, with help from Ricardo Rodríguez to end his long feud with Mysterio. On January 18 Del Rio's NXT rookie Conor O'Brien became the second contestant eliminated from the competition. The following week the rookies competed in a fatal four-way match, of which the winner could change their pro. Brodus Clay won the match and chose Del Rio as his new pro. After the conclusion of NXT, Clay was hired as the bodyguard of Del Rio. On January 30, 2011, Del Rio defeated 39 other participants to win the 2011 Royal Rumble and earn the right to compete for either the World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship at WrestleMania XXVII by last eliminating Santino Marella. The following night on Raw, Del Rio chose to compete for the World Heavyweight Championship, which, at the time of his choosing, was held by Edge. At Elimination Chamber, Del Rio attacked Edge, after he had successfully defended his World Heavyweight Championship and solidified his spot as Del Rio's opponent at WrestleMania. However, Edge managed to come out the exchange victorious, after Christian made a return from his injury and attacked Del Rio. On the March 18 SmackDown, Del Rio and Christian finally had their first only Euro 1 match inside a steel cage, in which Christian was victorious. At WrestleMania XXVII, Del Rio was unsuccessful in his World Heavyweight Championship match against Edge. On the following SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Christian to earn a rematch against Edge at Extreme Rules. However, when Edge unexpectedly announced his retirement from professional wrestling on the April 11 Raw, Del Rio was instead booked to face Christian in a ladder match for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. On the April 25 episode of Raw, Del Rio was drafted from SmackDown to Raw. Ricardo Rodríguez moved to Raw with him, while Brodus Clay remained on SmackDown. On May 1 at Extreme Rules, Christian defeated Del Rio in a ladder match to win the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. On the May 23 Raw, Del Rio slapped Big Show after he had gotten into a confrontation with Ricardo Rodríguez. After competing in a match, Show was run over by Del Rio's car, being driven by Rodríguez, leaving him sidelined with a storyline knee injury. Big Show made his return 3 weeks later, chasing Del Rio out of the ring and beating Rodríguez down. On June 19 at Capital Punishment, Del Rio defeated Big Show via referee stoppage, when Show was unable to continue the match as a result of a pre-match assault by Mark Henry. On the June 27 Raw, Del Rio defeated Big Show in a steel cage match, again with help from Mark Henry. On July 17 at Money in the Bank, Del Rio defeated Alex Riley, Evan Bourne, Jack Swagger, Kofi Kingston, The Miz, R-Truth and Rey Mysterio in a Money in the Bank ladder match to earn the right to challenge for the WWE Championship whenever and wherever he wanted, while also becoming the first wrestler in history to win a Royal Rumble and a Money in the Bank match in the same year. Following the orders of Vince McMahon, Del Rio attempted to cash in his contract later that same night on CM Punk, who had just defeated John Cena for the WWE Championship, but was attacked and laid out by him before he could do so. Del Rio eventually cashed in his contract on August 14 at SummerSlam, challenging CM Punk after the main event, where he had defeated John Cena to become the undisputed WWE Champion. Between the two matches, Punk was attacked by Kevin Nash, which led to Del Rio scoring a quick pinfall victory to win the WWE Championship for the first time. In winning the title, Del Rio became the first ever Mexican-born WWE Champion. Del Rio made his first televised title defense the following night on Raw, defeating Rey Mysterio to retain his title. On September 18 at Night of Champions, Del Rio lost the WWE Championship to John Cena. Del Rio regained the title on October 2 at Hell in a Cell by defeating Cena and CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell match. On October 23 at Vengeance, Del Rio successfully defended the WWE Championship against John Cena in a last man standing match, following interference from The Miz and R-Truth. On November 20 at Survivor Series, Del Rio lost the WWE Championship to CM Punk. Del Rio received a rematch for the WWE Championship on the November 28 Raw, but was defeated after CM Punk dropped him onto an exposed turnbuckle, managing to avoid a disqualification, which would have cost him the title, in the process. On December 18 at TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, Del Rio failed again to recapture the WWE Championship from CM Punk in a triple threat tables, ladders, and chairs match, also involving The Miz. The following night on Raw, Del Rio suffered a torn groin muscle, which required surgery and sidelined him for 4 to 6 weeks. World Heavyweight Championship pursuits and reigns. Del Rio made his return at a WWE house show in San Francisco on February 11, 2012, arm wrestling Sheamus to a no contest. On February 19 at Elimination Chamber, Del Rio made an appearance to show support to Raw General Manager John Laurinaitis. Del Rio returned on the April 2 Raw, confronting World Heavyweight Champion Sheamus and vowing to become the next champion. On the following SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Sheamus in a non-title match via disqualification to earn a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. On the April 20 SmackDown, it was announced that Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez had been officially traded from Raw to SmackDown. On May 20 at Over the Limit, Del Rio failed to capture the World Heavyweight Championship from Sheamus in a fatal four-way match, also involving Chris Jericho and Randy Orton. On the following SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Kane and Randy Orton in a triple threat match to become the #1 contender to the World Heavyweight Championship. At the June 5 tapings of SmackDown, Del Rio suffered a legitimate concussion, which led to WWE pulling him from his scheduled World Heavyweight Championship match against Sheamus at No Way Out. Del Rio returned on the June 18 Raw, defeating United States champion Santino Marella in a non-title match. The following week on Raw, Del Rio wrestled Dolph Ziggler to a no contest in a contract on a pole match for a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. As a result, both Del Rio and Ziggler were entered into the championship match 4 days later on SmackDown, where Sheamus retained the title after pinning Ziggler. Del Rio received another shot at the World Heavyweight Championship on July 15 at Money in the Bank, where he was again defeated by Sheamus. The following night on Raw, Del Rio was looking to take out his frustrations on Zack Ryder, but his post-match assault was interrupted by his longtime rival Rey Mysterio making his return and attacking him. 4 days later on SmackDown, Del Rio and Dolph Ziggler were defeated by Mysterio and Sheamus via disqualification, following interference from Rodriguez. After the match, Del Rio viciously attacked Sheamus. On the July 27 SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Daniel Bryan, Kane, and Rey Mysterio in a four-way match to again become #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. The title match, originally announced for SummerSlam, was moved to the August 10 SmackDown, after Del Rio threatened to press charges against Sheamus for stealing his car on the previous Raw, which would have prevented Sheamus from appearing at the pay-per-view. However, before the match got started, Del Rio attacked Sheamus along with men posing as police officers, which led to SmackDown general manager Booker T taking away his #1 contender status as a result. However, the following week, Sheamus had the title match put back on for SummerSlam. At the pay-per-view on August 19, Del Rio again failed in attempt to dethrone Sheamus after the referee failed to notice Del Rio's foot on the bottom rope. On the following SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Randy Orton via submission to once again become the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. On the September 7 SmackDown, Del Rio filed assault charges against Sheamus, after Sheamus had attacked him and Rodríguez on the previous Raw, which led to Booker T banning the Brogue Kick with the caveat that Sheamus would be stripped of the World Heavyweight Championship if he used the move again. However, on September 16 at Night of Champions, Booker T announced that he had concluded his investigation into the dangers of the move and lifted the ban. In the match that followed, Sheamus used the Brogue Kick to defeat Del Rio and retain the World Heavyweight Championship. With his rivalry with Sheamus behind him, Del Rio moved on to feuding with Randy Orton, with the two attacking each other on the September 28 SmackDown. The rivalry built to a singles match on October 28 at Hell in a Cell, where Orton emerged victorious. On the following episode of Main Event, Del Rio teamed with the Primetime Players to face Orton, Rey Mysterio, and Sin Cara in six-man tag team bout that ended with Orton pinning Del Rio for the win. On the November 6 SmackDown, Del Rio was again defeated by Orton in a Falls Count Anywhere match, after taking an RKO onto the ringside steel steps. The two were then on opposing teams for the traditional 5-on-5 elimination tag match on November 18 at Survivor Series. Del Rio's team, led by Dolph Ziggler, ended up defeating Orton's team, led by Mick Foley, despite Del Rio being eliminated by Orton prior to the finish. The following night on Raw, Del Rio was once again defeated by Orton in a 2-out-of-3 falls match, ending the feud. On December 16 at TLC, Tables, Ladders and Chairs, Del Rio turned face for the first time in his WWE career, when he saved Ricardo Rodríguez and the Spanish announce team from 3 megabytes. Later in the event, Del Rio teamed with The Miz and the Brooklyn Brawler to defeat 3 megabytes in a 6-man tag team match. The following night on Raw, Del Rio and Miz teamed up with Tommy Dreamer to defeat 3 megabytes in another 6-man tag team match. On the December 28 SmackDown, Ricardo Rodríguez was awarded a title match against World Heavyweight Champion Big Show, but Show knocked Rodríguez out backstage. Del Rio was then awarded the title match in Rodríguez's place, however, the match ended in a no contest after Sheamus attacked Big Show. On the December 31 Raw, Show chose to defend his title against Ricardo Rodríguez. As Rodríguez was about to lose the match, Del Rio attacked Show from behind, causing a disqualification and reigniting a feud between Del Rio and Show. On January 8, 2013, at the tapings of the January 11 SmackDown, as Del Rio's character transitioned into a hero of the Latino fanbase, he defeated Show in a last man standing match to win his first World Heavyweight Championship. Del Rio made his first successful title defense on January 27 at the Royal Rumble, defeating Show in another last man standing match, after Rodríguez duct-taped Show's legs to the ropes. After repeated attacks from Show to both himself and Rodríguez, Del Rio and Show faced off in a singles match on February 17 at Elimination Chamber, where Del Rio submitted him to the cross-arm breaker to retain his title. Del Rio then began a feud with his new #1 contender, Jack Swagger, over his opposing political views regarding immigration in America. The feud escalated on the March 18 Raw, when Swagger broke Rodríguez's ankle with his Patriot Lock submission. Del Rio continued his feud with Swagger on the April 1 Raw, defeating Swagger's manager Zeb Colter via disqualification after Colter hit Del Rio with Ricardo Rodríguez's crutch. On April 7 at WrestleMania 29, Del Rio defeated Swagger via submission to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. The following night on Raw, Del Rio defeated Swagger and Zeb Coulter in a 2-on-1 handicap match after forcing Swagger to submit to the cross-arm breaker. Immediately following, Del Rio lost the World Heavyweight Champion to Dolph Ziggler, who cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, ending his reign at 90 days. Following the loss of the World Heavyweight Championship, Del Rio would continue feud with Swagger and Ziggler over the title. On the April 29 Raw, Ricardo Rodríguez defeated Big E Langston and Zeb Coulter in a three-way match to give Del Rio the right to choose the stipulation of his three-way match at Extreme Rules and chose a ladder match. However, Ziggler would suffer a legitimate concussion at a SmackDown taping, thus removing their match from Extreme Rules. As a result of Ziggler's injury, Del Rio instead would be booked to face Swagger in a number one contender I Quit match at the pay-per-view on May 19, which Del Rio won. In the following weeks, Del Rio would face Ziggler's enforcer Big E Langston in a series of matches, which Del Rio won 3-2. Del Rio finally received his title shot on June 16 at WWE Payback, and during the match, a double turn took place. Del Rio turned heel once again by repeatedly and ruthlessly targeting Ziggler's head after his recent concussion to defeat Ziggler and regain the World Heavyweight Championship. Del Rio later explained that he targeted Ziggler's head the same way Ziggler targeted Del Rio's injured leg when Ziggler cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase to win the title from Del Rio. On July 14 at Money in the Bank, Del Rio defeated Ziggler via disqualification to retain the World Heavyweight Championship, after Ziggler's girlfriend AJ Lee hit Del Rio in the face with her Divas Championship belt. The following night on Raw, Del Rio defeated Ziggler in a non-title rematch after a distraction by AJ. On the July 29 Raw, Del Rio re-entered a feud with Christian after losing to him in a non-title match. That same week on SmackDown, after Christian won a three-way match to become the number-one contender to the World Heavyweight Championship, Del Rio attacked him during a post-match interview. On the following Raw, Del Rio lost a non-title match to Rob Van Dam, after Ricardo Rodríguez's interference backfired, which led to Del Rio viciously attacking Rodríguez post-match. 4 days later on SmackDown, Del Rio was again defeated by Christian in a non-title match. On August 18 at SummerSlam, Del Rio successfully defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Christian. Upon Rodríguez's return, he aligned himself with Rob Van Dam, accompanying him to matches and helping him defeat Del Rio in a non-title match to earn a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. On the September 13 episode of SmackDown, Del Rio defeated Rodríguez in a single match. 2 days later at Night of Champions, Del Rio and Van Dam's title match ended in a disqualification win for Van Dam, after Del Rio refused to relinquish the cross-arm breaker, retaining the World Heavyweight Championship as a result. After the match, Van Dam attacked Del Rio and hit him with the Van Terminator. On October 6 at Battleground, Del Rio defeated Van Dam in a hardcore match via submission to again retain his title. The following night on Raw, Del Rio was defeated by Ricardo Rodríguez after being distracted by Vicky Guerrero announcing his Hell in a Cell opponent as John Cena. Afterwards, Del Rio brutally attacked Rodríguez. On October 27 at the pay-per-view, Del Rio lost the World Heavyweight Championship to Cena, ending his reign at 133 days. Del Rio received his rematch for the title on November 24 at Survivor Series, but was again defeated by Cena. Final storylines and departure. On the December 2 and 9th episodes of Raw, Del Rio suffered upset losses to the returning Sin Cara. Del Rio finally defeated Sin Cara on the January 6, 2014, episode of Raw. After the match, Del Rio insulted the soon-to-be returning Batista and that he would eliminate Batista in the Royal Rumble to get everyone talking about him. On the January 13 episode of Raw, he defeated Rey Mysterio and after the match, once again confronted Batista. On the January 20 episode of Raw, after he defeated Rey Mysterio, Batista returned and attacked Del Rio with a Batista bomb. 6 days later at the Royal Rumble, Del Rio entered the Rumble match at number 27 and performed well, but was eliminated by Batista, who went on to win the match. On the February 3 episode of Raw, Del Rio confronted and ultimately assaulted Batista, which led to Batista powerbombing Del Rio through the announce table the following week. Before that, Del Rio squashed Dolph Ziggler. This led to a match between Del Rio and Batista at Elimination Chamber, which Batista won. The following night on Raw, Del Rio defeated Batista in a rematch from the previous night. At WrestleMania XXX, Alberto Del Rio participated in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal and made a number of eliminations before being eliminated by Sheamus. On June 2 episode of Raw, Del Rio defeated Dolph Ziggler to qualify for the 2014 Money in the Bank ladder match, which later became for the vacant WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Del Rio would lose the match to John Cena. On the July 4 episode of SmackDown, Del Rio unsuccessfully challenged Sheamus for the WWE United States Championship. He defeated Ziggler on the July 7 episode of Raw to earn another United States Championship opportunity against Sheamus, but was again unsuccessful after a last man standing match the following night on Main Event. At Battleground he participated in a battle royal for the vacant Intercontinental Championship but was eliminated by Dolph Ziggler. On the August 5 episode of Main Event, Del Rio was defeated by Jack Swagger in what would be his final match in WWE. On August 7, 2014, WWE announced that Del Rio was fired from the company due to unprofessional conduct and an altercation with an employee. Return to AAA. On August 11, 2014, AAA announcer Arturo Rivera stated that Del Rio will be returning to the promotion at XXIII. AAA officially confirmed Del Rio's return later that same day and started advertising him for the event. In a press conference on August 14, Rodríguez acknowledged that WWE owned the Alberto Del Rio name and revealed that he would be working for AAA under the new ring name El Patra Cubed N. He was nicknamed this in WWE by Ricardo Rodríguez, during ring introductions and Spanish commentary, but it was not trademarked. Rodríguez also announced that for the moment he was under a 90-day no-compete clause, which would prevent him from wrestling for AAA. He later also revealed that as part of his release from WWE, he is banned from wrestling in the United States for a year. At XXIII. El Patra Cubed N and his father Dos Caras appeared to open the show, speaking on coming to AAA and addressing WWE, claiming that the company was racist. They were then confronted by the Los Perros del Mal stable. After one of the members laid his hands on Caras, El Patra Cubed N ran after the stable and cleared house, while officials reminded him that he has the no-compete clause from WWE. The show ended with El Patra Cubed N attacking Los Perros del Mal leader El Hijo del Perro Aguayo, after his win in the main event. Mixed martial arts. After making his professional wrestling debut in 2000, Dos Caras, Jr. decided to try his hand at mixed martial arts. After training with MMA fighter and trainer Marco Ruiz, Caras, Jr. made his debut for Japanese MMA organization Deep using both his wrestling name and luchador mask. In his first match he demonstrated his professional wrestling background by executing a belly-to-belly suplex on opponent Kengo Watanabe, a move that broke Watanabe's arm to end the match. In Caras, Jr.'s second match he lost to Watanabe by submission in the second round. In 2003, Japanese MMA organization Pride Fighting Championships put out an open challenge for anyone to face their top star Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic in a match. Over 50 competitors stepped forward, including a couple of Japanese professional wrestlers. Out of the group, Dos Caras, Jr. was chosen since he had an MMA background and also a name due to his and his father's association with professional wrestling. Pride rules were amended to allow Dos Caras, Jr. to wear his signature mask in the match against Filipovic. On October 5, Dos Caras, Jr. faced Cro Cop with his father, Dos Caras, and his cousin, Cico Delico, Jr. in his corner. The match lasted 46 seconds before Filipovic hit Dos Caras, Jr. with one of his signature moves, the left high kick, and knocked him out. Following the quick loss, Dos Caras, Jr. has competed in 8 further MMA matches, attaining 6 wins and only 2 defeats with 7 overall wins coming via submission. Mixed martial arts record, personal life, son of noted luchador Dos Caras, nephew of Mil Mascaras and Cico de Lico, and cousin to Cico de Lico, Jr. and Hijo de Cico de Lico. Rodríguez is part of one of the most well-known Mexican wrestling families. His younger brother Guillermo signed a WWE contract in August 2012 and was assigned to the promotion's developmental territory NXT Wrestling under the ring name Memo Montenegro, but was released in July 2013. He supports Real Madrid FC. He is married with 2 children, a son, Joseph, and a daughter. In wrestling finishing moves, as Alberto Del Rio, cross armbreaker, usually rolling. As Dos Caras, Jr. Military press dropped into a bridging German suplex. Signature moves, arm wringer, double foot stomp, sometimes to a trapped opponent on the rope, double knee armbreaker, double knee backbreaker, sometimes to a rope-hung opponent and preceded by multiple forearm smashes to the rope-hung opponent's back, diving double axe handle, fireman's carry double knee gutbuster Euro 2011, moonsault, multiple kick variations, back, drop, shoot, super, step up and swiggery, sometimes to a cornered opponent or to an opponent on the top rope. Multiple suplex variations, belly to back, bridging release German, inverted super. Senton, sometimes from the top rope or in a seated position, tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Managers, Brodus Clay, Dos Caras, Ricardo Rodríguez. Nicknames, El Ha Copyright Rcules Potosino Hercules from Potosa, the essence of excellence / La esencia de la excelencia, the pride of Mexico, the Mexican aristocrat, Mexico's greatest export. Entrance themes, Realiza performed by Mariachi Real de Mexico and composed by Jim Johnston, Realiza 2013 performed by Mariachi Real de Mexico and composed by Jim Johnston. Championships and accomplishments. Amateur Wrestling, Central American and Caribbean Games, 1st place. Pan American Games, placed. World Junior Championships, 3rd place. Professional Wrestling, Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, CMLL World Heavyweight Championship, La Copa Junior. Pro Wrestling Illustrated, PWI ranked him number 6 of the top 500 singles wrestlers in the PWI 500 in 2011. World Wrestling Entertainment WWE, World Heavyweight Championship, WWE Championship, Money in the Bank, Royal Rumble, 2010 Bragging Rights Trophy Euro with Team SmackDown. Wrestling Observer Newsletter, Best Gimmick. Luchas de Apuestas Record. References. External links. Alberto Del Rio's profile on WWE.com